never. "My dear Mole," he said robustly, "my advice to you is to enjoy life more, and to move from Mole End, and—" As Toad began to launch forth, the Mole felt the same inexplicable malaise that had afflicted him for weeks past come over him again. He felt tears well up, and not for the first time. "Oh dear," he muttered to himself, advancing to the edge of the terrace so that Toad could not see him. "Oh my. Oblivious, as always, Toad carried on talking, for which the Mole was grateful. He felt his normal stability begin to return. "Hey, Mole, what do you say to that?" concluded Toad. The Mole dabbed his eyes and sniffed a little to regain his composure. "I'm sorry, Toad, I missed the last part of what you said." "I was advising that you should widen your acquaintance. I've nothing against Ratty or Badger, and as for your nephew, I dare say he has been of some service to you. And to you as well, I believe," the Mole could not help adding, for he knew that nephew had been of great help to Toad in the rebuilding of the hall. "Yes, your nephew has certainly benefited from my tutelage, Mole. I believe he, too, has acted on my advice from time to time. What is it that's troubling you?" "Well," essayed Mole, "there has been something that has worried me lately, and—" At this moment the butler's arrival put a stop to further conversation, for there are few things in the world more certain to remind gentlefolk of the fact that if all is not now well it soon will be, than the sight of a tray bedecked with the items which make for a successful tea. In the pouring of tea, and the delightful crunch of the cucumber sandwiches, not to mention the promise of the coming cakes and strawberries and cream to follow, all else is held at bay. Such was the effect upon Toad and Mole. Toad ceased his prattle, while Mole put aside his still unspoken difficulties, and both tucked in. When talk resumed, it was about inconsequential things, such as Mr. Toad's new butler. "Prendergast is one of the finest butlers in all the land." For this was the same Prendergast who had been in the employ of the High Judge himself, in whose residence Toad had once been a fraudulent guest. On that occasion, a trifling matter of a flying machine and a glass-shattering descent by parachute into his lordship's hothouse, a curious bond of affection had grown between Toad and his lordship's butler Prendergast. Nobody had been more delighted than Toad when his advertisement in the Times had attracted a reply from his old friend. He assumed that Prendergast applied for the post out of respect, and the prospect of serving a gentleman as noble and as famous as himself, but this was not quite the case. The plain fact was that Prendergast had come into a small inheritance. Though he had no desire to be idle, his zest for serving lords and ladies of the genuine kind had waned after a quarter of a century. Now he could pick and choose. Prendergast had decided that before emigrating forever to Australia, he wished to serve a master as reprehensible and notorious as Mr. Toad of Toad Hall. In all of England's wide and pleasant land, no butler went about his work so happily as Prendergast, and none relished more the challenge of the months ahead. For 6 months only Prendergast had decided it would be, and had told his new employer as much. "My dear fellow," said Toad, with that inappropriate familiarity which he carried off so well, "6 months will see us on our feet at the rebuilt Toad Hall. Train up the staff in that time, and see that my worries are seen to, and I shall be well pleased." "It is agreed, then, sir," said Prendergast respectfully. The story of Prendergast done, all Toad wanted to talk about was the awfulness of having so much money and the stress of rebuilding Toad Hall. Meanwhile, the Mole, who had heard it all before, could not but notice how warm the sun felt on his face, how much better he felt for the tea, how buzzingly the bees seemed to buzz. In short, how pleasant things seemed to have become, and how unimportant his own concerns suddenly seemed. "Mole! Mole!" Toad's imperious cry awoke the Mole from a blissful sleep. The sun had begun to settle. Toad held aloft a sheet of drawing paper. It was a plan to rebuild the garden, and a very thorough one, too. "Do you see what is written there, Mole?" moaned Toad. "Oh, my head throbs with the effort of thinking of it all." Mole read the words that seemed to have given Toad such trouble. Client to